Hello, Billy Sheehan. Welcome to Rock Mania. It's a pleasure for me to be doing this interview.
Obrigado. Thank you very much.
Let's start talking about your private one-on-one best master classes. How does it work?
I live here in Nashville. It's Music City. Many people visit here as tourists. There's a lot of music in this town, and there's a wonderful music store close to my home. So I can drive over there in 10 minutes and meet someone for a one-on-one. I'm not a teacher. I don't give lessons, but I can sit down with someone for an hour and go over bass playing, songwriting, uh, basses, amps, whatever you like, because I've had a lot of experience. And it's been, the last weekend was sold out. And but we only do one person at a time, and that way I get a chance to really speak with someone. When I'm doing a clinic or master class for a group, those are good too, but some people, they don't talk or they get shy. But this way we can communicate directly. And I had a bunch of wonderful participants at the master class last weekend, and we had a wonderful time. And I tell people to stay in touch with me on Facebook or Instagram. And most everyone has written to me and say that they've seen a big improvement in their playing, a big improvement in their understanding of what's going on here. And so it's been very successful. And my goal is to have them be pleased with the time we spent together, and they seem to be very much so. So I'm very grateful. When I was young, I would be in my apartment, and someone would knock on the door, and I would answer with my bass on, and they'd say, "Don't you ever put that down?" And I'd say, "No, I don't. I keep it on."
Let's go back in time with Rock Mania Time Machine. Now, how did you get started in music?
Oh, I grew up at a time when bands were everything. There was no internet or iPhones, and the cool thing was to get a guitar, get a bass, get a set of drums or a keyboard, or sing and get in a band, and everybody did. Every neighborhood had one or two bands practicing in a garage or basement, and in the hot summer night as you'd walk, one band would fade away in the distance, and you'd hear another one coming up as you're walking. So if you drive down the street, you could see drum kits set up in people's homes. And it was a big thing. Being in a band was everything. So I was a little young to catch the first beginning of that wave, but I did manage to have neighbors that were in a very big band in Buffalo, New York, right around the corner from me. And so I'd listen, and the bass player, Joe, he's still a good friend of mine. He'd let me pick up his bass one time, and I plucked it. I got a blister on my finger right away. And I was excited about it. So that's why I became a bass player. I wanted to be like Joe and play in a band. And I didn't think about record deals or fame or making money. We just wanted to play in a band. It's so much fun. It's great. Play songs. We didn't write songs. Everybody was a copy band in the beginning, until you later on wrote songs. So everybody get together and learn their favorite songs and go out and play in a high school or a club or something, and we played all the time. So we were very excited to just be on stage and performing. And one time we did 21 nights in a row. 21 nights we played. One time we did 3 full shows in one day.
Whoa!
Morning, afternoon, and evening, full shows.
And so, your fingers bleeding.
Well, because we played so much, my fingers were like steel. And plus we could sing all day and all night and never lose our voice. So it was good practice to start out like that, just playing a hot, sweaty gig every single night. It was fantastic. So I'm very thankful that I had that experience.
It was with the band Talas? No.
Even before that, there was bands even before that.
Before?
Talas started about 1971 or 2, I think 71. But before that, I had a horn band. We had 4 horns, tenor, alto, sax, trombone, trumpet, 3 singers, guitar, bass, drums, keyboard. So we had 11 guys. And my first gig, I made $7.
Great number, 7 to start. And how was your work with David Lee Roth?
Dave called me summer of '85 and wanted to start a band. So I flew out to LA and we started working on songs. And he's looking for a guitar player. And I said, I know a guy named Steve. And we brought Steve in, and Steve was a guitar player. And then he sent Steve and I out to find a drummer. We found Greg Bissonette. Mm-hmm. They needed a keyboard player also. So I found Brett Tuggle, and we did the Eat 'em and Smile experience. It was quite awesome. It was a long time ago.
After playing with David, you created Mr. Big.
You are correct. I wanted to do another band, so I found a guitar player and a drummer. I was looking for a singer, found a singer. We had an amazing manager, and we started writing and got a record deal, and our manager made sure we had the great tours. We played with Rush, with Bryan Adams, with Scorpions, with Aerosmith, with all these great bands, and we had an amazing career as a result, and it was quite an incredible adventure.
Mr. Big released 9 studio albums in addition to several live albums, compilations, videos, among others. The band went on to achieve a #1 hit in many countries. How do you see it all, the success of the band in Brazil too?
Well, we love Brazil too. Our first time playing in Brazil was on Santos Beach in outside of Sao Paulo, and it was about 100,000 people there, and it was one of our most memorable gigs of our whole lives. So we always have a special place in our heart for the Brazilian fans. But it was quite amazing. We had #1 in 14 countries. When we were on the Billboard charts, we were in the top 10, and then Prince and Michael Jackson had a song that they were trying to make #1, and we jumped ahead of them and got to #1. So we didn't get in trouble for that, but I thought we would. But so we had a great run, and we've made friends all over the world. We've played everywhere, and I get email and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter messages from India and Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran and all over Africa and Asia and China and New Zealand and Australia, and of course Brazil and all the South American countries. So we made a lot of friends around the world. We're very happy about that.
I can see that in Japan you are much loved.
Very good. Yeah, we have incredible fans there. We after the earthquake in 2011, we were the first band to go play. Everybody else canceled. But it was dangerous. We thought, we don't care. We want to go and play and give an idea of life coming back to normal again. And so they were very pleased that we did that. We raised $250,000 for the Red Cross for earthquake relief, and took a lot of people's minds off their troubles because it was very bad. And we love our fans everywhere. And anytime there's a disaster or problem, we like to do whatever we can. And we were glad we could help the Japanese people after that quake. It was wonderful.
Another work of you, the Winnery Dogs. What tell about the super power trio with Coates and Portnoy?
That's one of my favorite bands ever. I love playing in that band. 3-piece is what Talas was initially for the first 10 years or so. And so playing a 3-piece band is a riot. Grand Funk Railroad, ZZ Top, all 3-piece bands. I love bands. Cream was a 3-piece band. So we all sing and we all play and we have a riot, and the shows are fantastic. I love the songs, and I love playing with Mike and Richie. So we're working on a new record now. I hope it's done soon. Everything takes longer during the pandemic, so we're going as fast as we can. But we've made a lot of progress, written a lot of songs already, and it'll be coming soon.
And how about Sons of Apollo?
Another great experience. Wonderful guys, Bumblefoot, Jeff Scott Soto, Derek Sherinian, and Mike, and myself. We have a wonderful time together. Sadly, our latest record came out right as the pandemic hit, and it was starting to do great too. The reviews were fantastic, and the shows were selling out, and it was really becoming a great situation. But I think 3 or 4 shows in, we had to stop. In our European tour, we had to stop and come home because of the pandemic. So that was an unlucky situation, but we did the right thing. We had to get home and stay in our homes and make sure people didn't gather in crowds. So hopefully we can get out and perform with that very, very soon. We would love to come to Brazil and play with Sons of Apollo. That would be a riot, I'm sure, and I think you'd enjoy it very much.
Amazing. And there are so many other works of you have. If I were to name them now, we would be here all day long. But is there another band or project that you would like to talk about now for those who follow Rock Mania?
Talas has a new record.
Talas. New record?
Yeah.
Oh.
New record, yes. I left the band in 1985 to join David Lee Roth and still remain friends with those guys. But the years and years went on. And then maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, they said, well, you want to do a show? And I said, yeah, let's do a show. So we did one show, charity show in Rochester, New York for a fire department, a charity for them. And it was jam-packed and people went crazy. Said, you know what? We could do a record because we had so many songs that we never recorded that we played on our live show. So why don't we go back in time, like the Rock Mania time machine. We borrowed it and we went back in time and we said, well, we can do two things. We can either update the songs and make them modern and make them sound like new songs, or we can play them the way we played them back in 1985. So we thought, let's do the 1985 version. So we went back and relearned those songs and recorded them, and it was a great experience being with those guys. They're my dear friends. And it was, what we say in English, it was bittersweet. That means a part of it was great, but another part of it was difficult. And the difficult part was our singer developed some health problems. Phil Narrow is his name. And he sang so great on the record. And we didn't even know about it, really. We knew there was a little problem, but we didn't know how bad it was. He sang the whole record, kicked ass, was amazing. But sadly, at the end, things got worse for him. And I'm very, very sad to say he passed away soon after the record was finished. So we want to make sure people know that this new Talas record is his legacy for his career and life. He was an amazing singer, one of the nicest people I've ever known. One of his sons sings on the record also as some harmony vocals. So we're glad to include one of his boys. He has 2 sons. So it's bittersweet. We're so happy the record's coming out. We're done, but we're so sad that we lost Phil. And we think this is a good representation of his incredible talent and what a wonderful person he was. So new Talas record coming as soon as possible.
Oh, it's a great news. And what means to you, Billy, to create songs that touch the heart of the people?
Well, I'm a fan too. When I was young, I heard songs and they touched me and they blew my mind and they inspired me and they excited me. And it was the soundtrack of my life. It was bands that I loved, I listened to, I still listen to. In my studio here, I have come down with a glass of wine and put the iTunes on and listen to great songs I grew up with. So I know what it's like to have a song mean something to you. Now that some of my songs are treated the same way, I couldn't be more happy and more honored, because I know what it meant to me. If it means even half of that to you, it is a great thing. So I want to continue making great music, the best music I can, and for my friends and fans. I don't like to call fans. I like to call them my friends, because I think I'm closer to my fans than a fan. They're my friends. I'm glad about that. So I'm just very, very honored that people listen to me at all in some of my bands, but that they have taken some of my songs to heart. And we play a show with Mr. Big, and I look out and there's just smiling faces everywhere, and some people with tears in their eyes of happiness. There's no greater feeling in the world, and I'm very, very, just quite honored by that. That's pretty amazing.
And what do you like to do, if it exists a time for it, when you are not involved with music? Do you have time for another thing?
Not too much. I mean, I post things on my Instagram and Facebook. I've got we live in a beautiful home in Nashville, and we're close to some woods, and we have deer and owls and squirrels and raccoons and all kinds of great animals come up, and our cat likes to watch them out the window. I cook a lot. I enjoy entertaining friends over here, playing iTunes, but most everything I do is somehow related to this. Even my workshop, my garage, I'm fixing basses, putting new pickups in, adjusting them, building things, doing electronics and experimenting. So most everything I do surrounds music or playing in some way. But I do have a little bit of a life outside of music, tiny bit.
And now a funny question. If you could be part of any band in the history of music, which band would be and why?
Oh boy, so many. I wish I was too young to have been a Beatle. And I don't know if I was talented enough to be a Beatle. But I was a huge fan of Jimi Hendrix too, and I would have loved to play bass with him. Van Halen, God, I was amazing. In my right here on my shelf, I have framed all the times Ed Van Halen gave me his phone number, and so that's his handwriting, and he gave me his phone. One is on a string package where I was in his dressing room, and he took a string packaging, gave me his number. So I was in touch with him for many, many years, and it was a great honor and inspiration to know him at all. So I'm actually the only person that played with every member of Van Halen. I went up to the house one time and played with Ed and Al, Ed and his brother Alex. Played a show with Ken Hensley from Uriah Heep and Michael Anthony, two bass players. Jammed with Sammy Hagar about 3 or 4 times. And then I also did a tour with Gary Sharon, Mike Portnoy, Paul Gilbert. We did a Who tribute. So I'm the only guy that played with everybody in Van Halen, but I never played in Van Halen. So, but that was one of my favorite bands ever. I love AC/DC too. That would have been an amazing band to be in. There's probably 100 bands that I would have loved to have been in. The band Talas opened up for Van Halen in 1980. We did about 25 or 30 shows with them, and every night on the 1980 Invasion tour, their worst night, they were only spectacular. They were just unreal live. They were at the tip top of everything. They played and sang the best I think I ever saw them, and we got to see that every single night. Pretty amazing.
Amazing. In the 80s and in the 90s, the concerts were different for today?
Well, things evolve, things change, and life goes on. Things will never be the same. Bands evolve. Mr. Big and our later years after we reformed again, it was very much like it was in the early years, but we're all wiser. We're all, I think we're all better players and more sensible players in some ways. Some ways that's good, some ways it's bad. But things change. But we always try to make it as good as possible.
Mm-hmm. Another imaginary question for you: if you could have any superpower, what would be and why a superpower?
Let's see. I'd say, no, that wouldn't be good either. I'd say not have to sleep, but I love to sleep. I love to sleep and dream. It's great. I don't know, maybe to split myself in two and be 2 people, so I could get plenty of sleep, but play 24 hours a day.
And do interviews.
Well, I don't know.
Do you like to do interviews or not most?
Well, I used to, but these days there are mostly the same questions over and over. So but it's okay. I'm glad to be here with you today.
And do you have a dream for your life, for mankind, family? A dream?
Well, I've been very, very lucky. Most of my dreams happened. When I was a kid and wanted to be in a band and be touring and make records, and I got that. It's pretty cool. So I'm very, very thankful and grateful for the people that made that happen. And the people who made that happen are mostly the fans, my friends, everybody that bought a ticket, a T-shirt, or a record. They contributed to my life, and I'm very, very thankful. But yeah, so my only other dreams, I just hope the world gets peaceful and the virus goes away and we never go through this again, and people stay healthy and people stay free, which is almost more important in my humble opinion. I hate to see some of the things that are happening now with governments and the people. It's getting governments are a bit too powerful and pushy, and this has happened to us before in history, and we know what the outcome is. So I hope this settles down very soon. I want peace and freedom for everybody.
Mhm. You are one of the main influences for thousands and thousands of bassists and musicians around the world. Would you have any advice, any tips to give them who listen to us?
Well, my main advice, and I give it to mostly younger players, because when players get older, they realize this is true. And the things you must do, you got to get in a band. Get in a band.
Mm-hmm.
Get in a band with songs that has songs. Get in a band with songs that you sing. Run the numbers of the most successful bands and musicians in the world. They were in a band, they had songs you could sing. Very simple. Hendrix, the Beatles, Van Halen, AC/DC, Rush, everybody. It was a band with songs that you sing. So a lot of people think, well, I'll just sit home and learn scales and learn how to play. No. You got to get in a band. You got to get in a band and get on stage and play. You got to play for people, and you got to entertain them, and you got to think of what they want to hear, and you don't want to pander or patronize them, but you want to entertain them, and you got to think of something that they'll find entertaining, and you've got to perform it every night, night after night after night, and you've got to sing on key and in time. And because they have TV shows where the people come up and sing every week and see who's a good singer, and then the grand winner wins a huge prize. They don't have TV shows for drummers, bass players, or guitar players. It's for singing. So you got to have singing in your band. I've been lucky. I play in bands with great singers. I love David Lee Roth's voice. All the Talas guys could sing. Mr. Big had Eric Martin, as good as it gets. Winery Dogs has Richie Kotzen. Sons of Apollo's got Jeff Scott Soto, all great singers, really wonderful singers. Richie surprises a lot of people with how amazing his voice is. So that's a key element. So the main thing, get in a band. If you're a bass player, get a drummer, guitar player, maybe keyboard player too, maybe a horn section, maybe something unusual like an accordion or a cello, but something, get in there and start learning songs. Every band starts as a copy band. The Beatles, their first album, Please Mr. Postman, A Taste of Honey, there were 4 or 5 copy songs on the first Beatle album. Van Halen, I've got tapes of them from the old days playing Led Zeppelin and James Gang and all copy tunes until they eventually started to write their own songs. Talas was a copy band. I've got Bon Scott from AC/DC singing copy tunes, tapes of him. Ronnie James Dio doing copy tunes in the clubs in the old days. Everybody started out as a copy band, and then you learn from that. And so get in a band with songs, get in a band with songs that you sing. I think it's a great way to achieve success. And if you want later on to go off and be solo and play all kinds of crazy stuff, great. But now you're famous and you can do that because you've already gotten where you want to be. Your dream has come true. So I think it's a good path to follow, and everyone I know who has followed it has been successful.
It is gold. It's gold, my friends. And from now on, what are your next steps?
Well, I'm recording in my home studio here almost every day. People contact me from around the world and ask me to play bass on their songs, and they send me the digital files, and I play bass on them here. We've done over 300 songs. I've done about 5 records I just finished 2 other new records also for clients around the world. So I plan to continue doing that until the pandemic slows down enough where I can play live, because playing live for me is everything. I live to play live, and I play live to live. It's a very, very important thing for me. So I'm really looking forward to everyone getting healthy again, having no danger, freedom's restored, and get out and play some music. So that's what I hope is coming soon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Billy Sheehan, I would like to thank you for your time. I wish that you don't think that the interview with Rock Mania is the same like others. I must.
No, I think it was a good interview. One of the best I've done in a long time. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure for me. Thank you so much. When you come to Brazil, we need to give a hug. Okay.
Okay, and maybe have a beer or a glass of wine. I just want to say to all of your listeners and watchers, I love and miss Brazil very much. I hope I get there very soon. And when I get there, I will play my absolute best for you.